Hello everybody. Today I'm coming to you with another dream that I had. Um Yesterday was a rough day. Not really anything bad happened. I was just in a very conflicted place. Um because I do believe in Jesus and that he died for my sins. But in the Bible it does talk about an unforgivable sin, and that is to deny Jesus. And in my past I have done that. So I was very upset, and I was like, I prayed and I asked God, can you please tell me if I'm going to be saved or not? You know, it's not going to affect my belief in you, it's not going to affect the way that I treat people, but it's causing me a lot of conflict, and I'd just like to know. I then watched a video on YouTube when I got home, and it was a video that was basically a preacher or a teacher explaining that the way that God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit feel when you do not believe in their divine power is basically how you would feel if your husband cheated on you and you walked in on it. And I just started crying and profusely apologizing because I was like, I didn't understand that that's what I was doing, and I'm so sorry. Like, I am so sorry that I did that to you, that I made you feel that way. Well, I ended up going to sleep, and in my dream a few things happened. It's a little fuzzy, but there are a few key things that stood out to me that I want to share with you guys. In my dream, I was in this place, and it was the world. I was in the world, and I could see the firmament above the world, and it looked like a sheet of protection in a way, and the world felt alive to me in my dream. And I was surrounded by a few people. It was like a handful of people. There was not very many. There was maybe like 6 or 7, maybe up to 10 people in my dream. And there were 2 women in my dream that had become pregnant at the very same time. And they hid it from everyone. They were very ashamed about the pregnancy for some reason. I still don't fully understand why. It's not for me to know, I guess. But these women became pregnant at the same time, and they ended up giving birth. And when they gave birth, they tried to hide their baby from everybody. But it seemed like they weren't really hiding it from the other people, like me and the other people, but they were hiding the baby from God. So that means that they had done something wrong in order to have the baby, or honestly, I have no idea what that part meant. Maybe it'll come to me later in another dream. But the main important part was that all of these people and I were living day-to-day life, and I kept trying to tell these people, like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, try to live a certain way, try to make this a peaceful existence, like, just give love to each other, and they wouldn't listen to me. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and nobody would listen to me. And at the end, the end of my dream, there was basically everything, all the people disappeared. Just out of nowhere, they just disappeared. And I was looking for them, and I remember that I called out to God or Jesus, and I was like, where is everybody? And I didn't see anyone with me. Like, I didn't see their face, but I do remember that they had sat me down on a desk or a chair or something and gave me a bunch of papers. And when I looked at these papers, there was things written on them, like it was like a test, and I was overlooking all of these people's answers. And when I read them, God was talking to me, and he said, look at this answer. I don't even remember the questions. I just remember, like, our conversation. If I do remember it on a later date, I'll come back and let you know, but, dreams are kind of fuzzy sometimes, especially when they come from God. He doesn't want you to tell everything. He just wants you to tell certain pieces. And I'm not here to interpret my dream. I'm just here to tell you what it was. And so he's talking to me while I'm looking at these papers, and it's like I somehow know that I'm grading them, like I'm the teacher, and I'm grading these papers. And he's allowing me to have authority over what happens to these people. So he gives me these papers, and we're looking over the answers together. And I remember that I'm looking at three different people's answers all at one time. And I'm like, look at this person's answer. And he's all like, now look at this one. What do you think, or how do you think that they should be judged by this? And I said, I don't know. It looks pretty bad. I don't think that there's anything that we can do. And he looks down on me and he goes, is that really how you feel? And I was all like, I just kept looking down at it, and I'm like, by their answers, it's by their answers, and they failed the test. And I remember looking up at him. I still didn't see his face. I just remember looking up because I'm like, I felt so hopeless for these people, and I felt so sad because I knew that even though I was the one who was in charge of saying whether or not they could, pass the test or not, I can't just pass someone because I want them to pass. I have to pass them because of the integrity of their grade. And that told me that this life kind of is a test. You're here to learn things. This is a classroom in a sort of way. Anyway, once I had come to that conclusion that, like, there's nothing that I can do, I've done all that I could do, and the people still didn't pass, I felt sad, but there was nothing that I could do, and I had realized that, and I had let it go, and I was all like, that's not my fault, that's not on me. I taught them everything that I could. I did everything that I could, and it still didn't work. So whatever they end up with is what they end up with, much like a teacher. And when I realized that, I looked, I don't even know if I looked at it or if I just felt the urge to, if I just knew I should have seen something. And I looked over at the sky, I just looked across, and I saw the sky, and the firmament was moving, it was breathing. But I saw that it would push down on the earth and hold for a few minutes, and then it would ease up, and it would keep doing that, and it got a little faster, and my eyes were opened, and I was all like, we're being born. And then I woke up. So that gave me comfort because I had asked God, can you tell me if I'm going to go to heaven or not? Can you tell me, based on my past sins and based on my, relationship with you now, a unique relationship that not a lot of people have, and no one on earth that has ever existed or will ever exist or exist today will have the same relationship that I have with God. And I had prayed about that, and when I had my dream, it basically told me that, and this is a running theme in a lot of my dreams, is that I'm constantly in a classroom or surrounded by other people that I have to help. I remember one dream that I had where I was in this house and the whole house was being bombarded by evil people trying to kill everyone in my family, and I had escaped and went up to the tree house, and the tree house had lots of children in it. Lots and lots and lots of children, hundreds of children, and I was just looking around, and I knew in my dream that it was my job to look over the children. There was a dream I remember where this person was trying to teach me how to control fire, but we were in a classroom, and I think that I did something. And basically, the way to control fire was to control the way that you felt in your heart. And it didn't come from hate. It came from like jealousy, not envy, because jealousy and envy are two different things. Envy is when you want something that is someone else's. Jealousy is when you are upset that someone else wants what you already have. So jealousy is righteous. Envy is not righteous. There's the difference. So I remember in the dream where they were teaching us how to control fire, I had gotten jealous about something. I don't exactly remember what it was, but I remember that I got jealous about something, and it like flamed up in my face, but it didn't burn me. Like it just like went, it looked like this, and you could see my eyes through it. Dreams are cool. They have so much meaning under it, and there's no telling when I'm gonna figure out exactly what this means. But anyway, and then I had a dream one time. I was in a classroom, but we were learning how to swim, and I don't know if you've ever been to like the YMCA, but they have this like little splash pad, and part of it the bottom or the ground kind of slopes down, so the water is here and it slopes down, so you can be sitting right here and still be in the water. And I had a dream that there were about 20 people sitting in the water, and we were all leaning back and, you know, just kind of laying in the water, and there was this instructor telling us what to do and telling us how to do things. And all of a sudden, this guy next to me started advancing towards me in a sexual way, and I had accepted it and I let it happen, and we were making out or something, and the instructor floated really close to us and yelled at us, "You're not supposed to be doing that." And I got really scared, and I woke up. And now that I'm looking back on it that was God warning me that I needed to turn away from some of the things that I was doing, because I am in a committed relationship, but and we are going to get married. So in the eyes of God, we are already married, even though there's no paper. Paper doesn't make you married. A ring doesn't make you married. God makes you married. So that relationship is a holy one. However, I did have thoughts, and I did do things based on those thoughts, because I would get aroused, or I would get excited about something, or I was just bored. So I was still in sexual sin, regardless of the fact that I was in a good relationship, in a committed relationship that is going to be the one that I hope is forever, unless one of us passes away. So that was God warning me, hey, don't do that. You're not supposed to be doing that. That's interfering with your lessons. So I constantly have dreams where it's a teacher/student type of role, and I'm either a student or I'm in charge of the class. And that's a reoccurring thing a lot with a lot of my dreams that really hold significance to me. So anyways, after I wake up, I'm just sitting there trying to remember a lot of it. Some parts of the dream are really fuzzy, and I don't remember a lot at all. Like the babies, I don't remember what happened to the babies after they were born and they were hidden. All I remember is that everybody just disappeared at once, and I was the only one there. Now, the babies could have just been, could have just gone somewhere else or whatever, but there is this verse in the Bible, I forgot which chapter it is, but it basically says that the wife will sanctify the husband, and the husband will sanctify the wife, so that your child will be not unclean or clean, something, basically a holy child. So if there's just one believer parent within a family unit, your children will be holy and set aside and set apart for God. But because of the people on the earth, when I was there in my dream, because they had failed their test so miserably, there was no hope for their children, because you learn, your parents are your teachers, and you learn the most from your parents, especially from a young age. And these people didn't realize the truth, and they didn't teach their children the truth, and they weren't going to, no matter how long. God was telling me, it doesn't matter how long I let these people live. I could let them live to be 500 years old, and they still will not understand who I am. And I had been worrying about that a lot lately, because of the fact that I do worry about the people that I love here on earth. I worry about them all the time, because I'm not sure, and this doesn't mean that they're bad people, but if we're being judged by the things that God has laid out for us, then there's a lot of people that I know personally and that I love that may not make it because they haven't, and I'm not judging them, because I've been in the position where I didn't understand, and I turned away from what I believed it to be true in my heart. But I feel like the difference is, because there is a verse in the Bible that basically says, I chose you, I want everybody to be saved, but I will harden the hearts of many. I will make it impossible for them to listen to me. I will make it impossible for them to hear my voice. I will make it impossible for them to know me because of the way that they live their life. Or maybe there are just a few people that God has set aside that He wants because we have learned certain things. Or maybe deep down in our hearts we know the answer, but we need a little more of a push. When other people just it doesn't matter what they're faced with. It doesn't matter if God comes out of the sky right now and tells them to their face, I am God. They're going to think that they're hallucinating. And so it's not my place. Basically, from my dream, I learned that, one, it's not my place to know who's going and who's not. Two, I can't feel bad about it when it does happen, because it is a righteous decision and it's a just decision, and it's so justified that there's nothing to feel bad about. Yes, you can mourn someone for not being able to make the mark, for not being able to make it with you, but you cannot make decisions for people. You cannot miss them to the point that you want to be with them and follow them in their lifestyle because of what that means for your eternal life. Like the fact that I had to basically grade all of these students on certain things, on their answers. I had to grade them based on their answers, and their answers were not cutting it. They were I believe all of the questions were moral questions, like justice questions, like, what would you do if this happened? What would you do if that happened? Things like that. And as I was looking at some of the answers, I was like, oh no, that can't fly. That can't work. I'm starting to remember some of the questions. I think one of them was like, if you saw, what was it? If you saw someone getting robbed, or if someone stole something from you, what would you do? And one of the answers said, I would go take my stuff back. One of the answers was like, I would kill them. And these answers, they did not come from the mind, because the writing wasn't in pen or anything. It was like the answers came from their heart. There's no way to cheat on this test. There's no way to lie on this test. This test is your test. And it was basically like, the test is how you lived. So let's say someone in the camp that I was in stole something from someone else, and however that person reacted was the answer to that test, to that question on the test. So there was no way to fake it. And I was sitting there like, oh, now I understand. Now I understand why some people are just not gonna make it. And, it calmed me a lot. And it made me feel better in a way. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm still sad about it. I still mourn the fact that because I have met so many people in my lifetime, and I know that there are certain people in my life who did me wrong, and even those people, I don't wish them to go to hell. And I know that that says something, because a lot of people don't see things that way. But the thing is that I don't care. Like, this is a trial. This is work that we have to do. And if God used me and used my body and my mind and my soul in someone else's life to somehow either change them or solidify their future, then there's nothing I can do about that. And just realizing that God is everywhere, that Jesus reigns over all, not some, not most, but all that goes on. It's because he wanted it to happen for some reason. And people are going to sit there and say, well, if your God is okay with killing children and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, then I don't want to believe in it. But look at what we're doing, guys. Are we not killing children? Are we not doing that? And if you look at it this way, we are a painting from an artist. We are the art, and God is the artist. And the artist has the right and the righteousness and the justification at any time to destroy anything that he's ever created and redo it or not redo it. He has the final say. No outsider can come in and be like, you need to destroy that if he doesn't want to, or no, you need to keep that if he's in the middle of destroying it. Not only that, but you sit here and expect certain things from God when you yourself do not hold yourself to the same standards. You know, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, we're out here aborting thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of unborn children a year. That's a lot. That's a lot of innocent people that we're just killing. And, you know, say what you want to say about it. Oh, it's not a baby, da-da-da. But the truth is, it says in the Bible, I knew you before I knit you in the womb. Do not kill. Like, if you can just ask yourself if you're living the way that you would want your God to be towards you. Are you being just? Are you being righteous? If you're not living that way, then you should try to change. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person. I'm not. But I'm saying that I'm trying, though. I'm at least trying. And I did get some comfort from, you know, that dream last night. And I feel better. Because I did have some questions and I was afraid. And, you know, just because I was afraid, it didn't change my intentions. It didn't change my mind about what I wanted to do. You know, because I had decided, like, even if right before I went to bed, I had the thought. It just popped in my head. But I had the thought that if all of the adults in the entire world had to go to hell so that all of the unborn babies and all of the infants and all of the children could go to heaven, I'd be cool with that. Send me to hell. And then my dream happened. So I was like, oh, like, it doesn't work the way that we believe it's going to work. It doesn't, just because it doesn't make sense to us, doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense. If you ask a kid, like a 3-year-old kid, what's 2 times 2? They're not going to know because they don't know how it works. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have an answer. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have a way. Also, when I was a kid, my parents had gotten divorced before I could remember. I think I was like 2, maybe 2.5, 3 when they got a divorce. And I just remember being like 4 or 5 when my dad had moved on and got a new woman in his life, that I started getting really upset and I couldn't understand. I was like, why don't you want to be part of our family anymore, Daddy? You know, why can't you just be with Mommy anymore? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Just because I didn't understand doesn't mean there was not a very valid reason for them splitting up. And when I got older, I came to realize, oh, they should not have stayed together. And it's probably a good thing that they didn't. And I am where I am because God put me in this life and He allowed these things to happen so that I could learn certain lessons. And I'm going to say this, like I've said a billion times before, you cannot know love, you cannot know true unconditional love until you're in a very unloving situation. You can't know forgiveness until you're in a situation with someone where it's really hard for you to forgive them. You can't know peace without first being engulfed in chaos. You can't know pain, or you can't know love without pain. You see what I mean? You can't have one without the other. It's impossible. Not here anyway. So I just wanted to come let you know what my dream was about, and if I have one later today, and it starts to kind of go together with that dream, because it always happens in threes. I'm not going to say always, but lately it's been happening in threes. Like, I'll have 3 dreams back to back to back, day after day after day. So this may go together with 2 more dreams. I don't know, but we'll see. If that does happen, I'll come on here and let you know. If it doesn't, and something else happens, or whenever I have my next dream, that's when I'll be back. There's not really a consistent schedule on these videos. They just get made when they get made. You know, they get made whenever I feel there's a need to make one. That's about it. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. I hope that things are starting to make sense for you. And I really, really, really hope that things get better in your life, and that you can see, even when they don't get better, even when they get worse, that it's for a reason, and we're all meant to suffer to learn these things. And I pray that you learn it before it's too late, because even now, when I was younger, if I went into a certain situation, I would always come out of it wondering, why did this happen to me? Why are you torturing me? I don't understand. And now, if something bad happens, I just calm down. Of course I'm going to be upset, but I see past that. I see that there's a bigger plan and a bigger picture to this, and what's meant to be is meant to be, and I don't have room to make things a certain way. I don't have room to dictate where my life is going. I can make plans all I want to, but I'm going to end up where I end up, regardless of my plans. My life is not based off of what I want to do. It's based off of what God wants for me. And the quicker that other people see that, because I went through a lot of suffering, and once I finally saw that, once I finally understood that, it was so much easier to get through those things without being burned, without letting it burn my soul. I used to be in so much agony and pain, and I thought about suicide, and, you know, I had tried to attempt it, you know, twice on purpose, and quite a few times not on purpose, you know, not consciously anyway, but subconsciously I was. And I had come to these truths that I'm trying to tell you guys, and it's like my eyes were open, and I could finally understand, like, yeah, you're gonna have to suffer, you're gonna have to go through things, but it's helping you grow. And when you understand that, everything gets better. Even if you're in the worst possible situation, you can still see God in it. And it's so mind-blowing. There's nothing that happens to you that God's not in charge of. And I know that it sucks sometimes. And I know that it doesn't make sense. And I know that it's scary and it's sad. And bad things happen all the time. But you have to remember that we're in a world where that is allowed to happen. God is allowing Satan to do those things so that he is using Satan as a tool to get to us, to open our eyes. And some of us are going to understand and some of us are not. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video there because it's getting a little long. I'm trying not to make them so long, but, you know, it is what it is. What happens, happens. So I hope you all have a good night. I'll be praying for all of you, everybody who watches this and everybody who isn't. all of the children, all of the elderly, every single person on this earth, I promise I'm praying for you, because I don't want you to see the things that I saw in real life. I don't want you to experience the things that I see other people experience in my dreams. I don't want that to happen. But you are in charge of your own choices. So if you keep on denying what's in front of your face, there's nothing I can do about it. And when the test answers come in and you fail, that's the end. That's the end of the test. There is no second chance. There is no second test. There is no makeup test. This is the only one you get. I really hope that you can look at this video with an open heart and not judge it so harshly, because that is going to help you in the long run. If you just move through life not judging so harshly on people and trying more to be understanding about how did they get here? What did they go through to make them act this way? What experiences have they gone through that made them so hurt on the inside, so damaged that they can't see past that damage? And when you can do that, it is so much easier to understand people and let things go and not argue with people and, repair relationships and move through life in a more pleasing way, not only to you, but to God as well. God is first priority, but have you ever heard the saying, what's good for the gander is good for the goose? This is one of those situations. What's good for God is good for you, because God wants the best for you. He doesn't want you to live in sorrow and sadness, because there's an eternity of life that's waiting for you that is so much better than here. It's so amazing, and you don't believe that it even exists, so how are you going to get there? Anyways, leaving it there. I hope you have a good day. Bye.